All right, welcome back to the channel. So in this video, we're going to talk about Errol Spence, Manny Pacquiao, and Bernard Hopkins, and specifically Bernard Hopkins seeming as if he is leaning towards Manny Pacquiao beating Errol Spence. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back, welcome back. Now, before we get into the subject matter of the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the videos, share the videos. It does a lot to help the channel, but welcome back to Fanon International Boxing. It's your boy Fanon. Let's talk about this Manny Pacquiao versus Errol Spence Jr. fight, which to me it's not mind-boggling, but it's very, very interesting to see how many people are riding with Manny Pacquiao, despite Manny Pacquiao having so many disadvantages coming into this fight. And the latest person that we're going to talk about is Bernard, the Executioner Hopkins. If you're not familiar with Bernard Executioner Hopkins, why are you watching this channel? He is one of the best 160-pound fighters in the history of the sport. Definitely one of the best 160-pounders of the last 30 years. And he was asked what his opinion was on the upcoming fight between Errol Spence Jr. and Manny Pacquiao. Now, the fight between Errol Spence Jr. and Manny Pacquiao is a unification fight. It's for the WBA, as of right now, I don't know. As of right now, it might not be a unification fight. It's the WBA, the WBC championship, the IBF championship, and they are reviewing, the WBA is reviewing whether or not they're going to reinstitute Manny Pacquiao as the WBA champion, because Manny Pacquiao was stripped of that title, and that title was given to Yuriorkis Gamboa. But regardless, it's a very, very big fight between a young fighter that has a lot of momentum behind him, has a tremendously large fan base, and a fighter that is the best in many people's lifetimes. You know, I'm 50 years old, and so my lifetime spans from like 1970 up till now, and I can tell you that I've not, in the years that I've been watching boxing, I've not seen a lot of fighters better than Manny Pacquiao, and definitely people in smaller weight classes making the noise that Manny Pacquiao, having come all the way up from, I think he was somewhere around down there at 112 pounds. He might have, like, at 112, then he skipped up to like 122, and then he won titles from 122 all the way up to 147, with the only exception being the 140-pound title. But he has a title there, just not a major belt. And so there's a lot of people that are really picking Manny Pacquiao. And ever since Manny Pacquiao came from the Philippines over to the United States for this training camp, it's amazing to see what the odds for the fight is. Now, I don't gamble a lot on fights. It's pretty much, I don't put any money on a fight unless I'm 100% sure or above 90% sure that I can win that fight. That's why I don't lose a lot of bets. Unfortunately, in boxing, though, there's so many rigged fights and fights that, you know, the politics are leaning heavily in one guy's direction, that you can safely bet on a lot of fights, at least on the main cards. So the fact that Manny, and to illustrate this shift, about a month and when the fight was originally announced, the odds for the fight for Manny Pacquiao, he was a minus 440, and that has shrunk all the way to a minus 250. And Errol Spence was a plus 440, and that has shrunk all the way to a plus 250. And Errol Spence went from a minus 450 to a minus 175. So for people that, like myself, that believe Errol Spence Jr. is going to win the fight, I mean, that's a positive shift. But what it's telling you is that the closer we get to the fight, the more the legend of Manny Pacquiao enters into people's minds, and they think to themselves, oh man, how can this guy Errol Spence Jr. beat the legend Manny Pacquiao? And letting it skip past their notice that Manny Pacquiao is well over 40 years old. So Bernard Hopkins was asked what he thought about the fight, and he pointed out the advantages without really fully committing, from what I could see, fully committing to, you know, what his prediction was. He said that there's a lot of advantages that Manny Pacquiao has, specifically that Manny Pacquiao has a mental edge over Errol Spence Jr. And you could tell, like, the way that he, according to Bernard Hopkins, he said that he still has a lot of energy left, in his legs. And of course, obviously, that is I'm not going to say that that is obviously the situation, but I can understand the logic behind that, in that Manny Pacquiao has been a champion for 4 straight decades. He's been a champion. He won his first championships in the 90s. He held belts from 2000 to 2010. He held belts from 2010 to 2020, and he began 2020 as the WBA Super Champion, the belt that is now held by Yuriorkis Gamboa. So clearly this guy has had a lot of experience over a long period of time. He's had a championship, like I said, in 7 weight divisions, and also he's fought and beaten multiple Hall of Famers. Juan Manuel Marquez, I think he had 3 or 4 fights with Juan Manuel Marquez. One ended up being in a knockout. He was in the ring and represented himself pretty well against Floyd Mayweather Jr. He also beat Miguel Cotto. He beat Oscar De La Hoya. And most recently, even though I wouldn't say that Keith Thurman is a Hall of Famer at this point in his career, he beat a younger champion, coming off of an extended injury and an extended absence from the sport, but nonetheless, had enough in the tank and was smart enough to beat Keith Thurman. And one of the things that Bernard Hopkins had to say about Manny is that it's not just about athleticism. It really is about what he knows in the boxing ring. Now, Bernard Hopkins has also talked about what Errol Spence Jr. has to do in order to win the fight, which was have everything be behind the jab. But he said if Errol Spence Jr.'s jab's not working, it's not working for him, then the fight is a wrap. I personally think that saying that if you say that what Errol Spence Jr. needs to do to win the fight is really control the fight with a jab, I would say go to an Errol Spence Jr. fight and look at what he does with his jab consistently. He works off his jab high, comes down low with the straight right hand. I think it's going to be a very good fight, but I think that it's going to be a one-sided fight to the advantage of Errol Spence Jr. But and as a result, I might actually put some money on this, because if this thing shrinks to even money or to minus 100, it's definitely worth taking that chance, because I'm about 90% that this guy can win the fight. Although there are other people like Gary Russell Jr. that says he believes that Errol Spence Jr. needs a knockout to win, because it's going to be very tough for him to get a decision against Manny Pacquiao in Vegas. But I think that Errol Spence Jr. is prepared for that. Now, that's my take on the matter. That's my understanding of Bernard Hopkins' take on the matter. Please make sure to subscribe, share, and like the videos. It would be much appreciated. It goes a long way to getting to helping the channel grow. And with that, I'm out. Peace.